You're listening to the Out of the Box podcast with Timmy, Halisa, and Sinosure.
Oh Lord.
Welcome back to Out of the Box. And yes, I'm Halisa, and we have Dorothy and Sinosure. So today we'd like to talk about the supplementary budget, or let's just say the expenses of the government. And we we thought that it's right for us to actually pick out some kind of things outside of it, and just like speak on it generally out. So let's hear you, Dorothy. Um,
Yeah. Hi guys. It's been quite a while, but yeah, we're back and again today to speak to another very important issue that is affecting millions of lives in Nigeria, and I think there's been a lot of conversation about this. So I think that we're just going to address this from a holistic point of view in this podcast. Sign Show, how you doing?
I did very well on my oga. I dey chop milk and bread, dey enjoy my life. Bread don cost, but I no get extra budget wey pass dis one wey I bin get before. I no even get supplementary budget, so I just dey live on top my budget like dis. You know na, cut your coat according to your cloth.
All right. All right, yeah. So it's been another season of, will I say, madness in governance in Nigeria, where we've had our lawmakers, um, involved in purchasing 160 million naira SUVs, for themselves, and not just that, also there was also a supplementary budget, that carried the intent to purchase cars for the first office of the first lady, office of the presidency, cars, worth billions of naira, and also included the
I think that we should also stop. I don't know. It's kind of like when you say 160 million, people will assume you're saying 20 million, 10 million cars for people. So we're saying one car for 160 million, and maybe some people, even said maybe it was 140 million or so. But let's just say if cars are being purchased for 130, 140, or 160 million, and it's for 460 something National Assembly members, then we're talking about billions there, like almost 60 billion or even more. So yes, I think when you say 160 million, it's even reductive of the problem that we have a bit. So we're talking cars in almost 60 billion. Go
yeah.
ahead. I just wanted to say that because I also
Yeah, and
perceive it
that's
like that.
160 millionaire worth of car for each lawmaker at the level of the National Assembly, and also the presidency and of the unconstitutional office of the first lady will be getting cars worth billions, and also some other frivolous items that were deposited into the budgets, like renovation of Aso and the office of the vice president, and the much talked about York Chabisi Yacho, whatever it's called. Yeah, the much talked about 5 billion naira yacht, and um for that's the for the presidency. Yeah, we call it presidential yacht, and that's been like, what people have been talking about, that at a time where Nigerians have had to like cope with economic hardship. I know people that are following this podcast will have heard, episodes on for subsidy removal, will have heard episodes on, student loan and all of those things. I think we've discussed them, and one of our previous episodes actually had, a student that, was suffering due to the increase of, fees in Nigerian universities, most especially Unilag, and that was where the students that joined the podcast, or is a student of. And at the time when Nigerians have been, facing this imposed economic hardship, we now have, these lawmakers, Nigerian politicians, engaging in this luxurious waste of the nation's resources to get themselves, cars. So I'll start off by saying this. There was a speech that the first lady, Remy Tinubu, actually gave, when she, I think when they got sworn in or something like that, that period, the early days, where she said that, no, we are so rich, we've made it all, we have money. And my husband and I, my family has been so blessed. We don't need Nigeria's money, and to now see them just a few weeks after being sworn in as the president, into the presidency, we're seeing all this wasteful, the continuation of the wasteful nature of Nigerian and African and, failed leaders across the world. We're seeing that continuation, something that every Nigerian, almost every sane Nigerian, agrees that, oh, this needs to go. Let's put this money where we actually need it. Let's put this money into education. Let's put this money into healthcare. Let's put this money into infrastructure. Let's put this money into tourism. Let's put this money where it can actually generate more for the people of Nigeria. So it is very sad and very heartbreaking. But I'll start off by asking a question: why do Nigerian politicians, why are they so wasteful? And that's where I want to start off, my own line of question for today. Why are they wasteful? Why do they continue to maintain this wastage that has almost crumbled, if not crumbled already, the Nigerian economy? Why?
Yeah. Before that, I think we should like state out the budget. So it's called supplementary appropriation bill. Some people were they said it's a bill, that's going to be passed for an act. So it was drawn up, and then they tried to pass the whole budget. Anyways, it's two. I'm going to try to do this. 2,176,791,000,000 to 286,033 naira. So basically, we are talking 2,176,000,000,000. So that's the supplementary budget that's passed, and it should be noted that this is just a supplementary this thing for 2023, and currently we are in November, right? So yes, and just to highlight the items worthy of notice or worthy of note here is that they are going to their ministries, right? Okay, the first one is they said the Independent National Electoral Commission, which is the INEC, is going to get around is it 18 million or 180 million? And then there's also a lot of budget for Ministry of Defense. Then there's police formations and command. There's also for National Security Advisor. There's for Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. There is service wide vote recurrent. Okay, recurrent. They did this recurrent and capital thing. I think maybe that would be talked about a bit later. So there's also now the part where they talked about state house, defense. Basically, the money that they put, it seems like a lot of money is going into defense and things like that. But they also talked about a few for Ministry of Agriculture and Security and Food Security. And then they talked about Ministry of Works and housing too. So there's a lot of questions when you look at the figures and everything and why this is on supplementary budget. There's a lot of questions to be asked basically. So yeah, let's return to the question. I just wanted to put out some facts there and to let us know the should I say the ministries that they find worthy to get more money at this particular period. So yeah. So yes. If you say politicians are spending money, obviously people that are playing in these industries are definitely them. But I don't know where you want. I wanted to say this in the beginning, so we know we
A
are
good man
working
here,
with it too.
listening, paying
Yes,
rapt
just
attention.
wanted to say that.
And I think it's also instructive, right? For especially those who are listening to us to understand the purpose, or let me say objective, of the Nigerian political system. You know, in one of our previous episodes, we had itemized some anomaly that we noticed in the Nigerian state. And one of those was the fact that the Nigerian state as a geographical entity, right, was birthed from a place of plunder, exploitation, stealing, killing, propaganda, and lies. I will state that again. The Nigerian state, as it is today, came from a place of propaganda, lies, plundering, stealing, killing, and maiming. So if you now see a group of people, right, the group of people who were responsible directly for the carrying out of such thing in the past, right, leave the system comfortably without any um, tussle or any serious tussle. Let me put it that way. Oh, they did not have to do this. They did not have to do that. It shows that they perhaps might have had an arrangement with the people they are leaving behind on how things should be, so that there won't be that confrontation. So when you see a Nigerian politician ordinarily, you imagine that you have seen an emperor who is there to spend the money of the state without holding back. And then, of course, with the sense of, I do not owe any of you any explanation. So when you say, why are Nigerian political elite wasteful, you are missing it. I think the question would be, if I wanted to ask the other way, that how wasteful can the Nigerian politicians be? The case of not being wasteful is not obtainable within the current system, right? What we are not just trying to do is to see how wasteful they can be in terms of the magnitude of the waste that they carry out. So for me, I am not surprised, right? People get to political offices to plunder, hence why all of them can go there poor, but when they are living, they are stinkingly rich. So literally, I hold that view that the question might not be elaborate enough, and that the question should be like, how wasteful can they be, and how longer will Nigerians tolerate them? That's our rest.
Yeah, so yeah, and I get you, but still, I still feel like the question is valid because, um, at the end of the day, you want to achieve something, yeah, while in office, you do want to achieve something, you do want to make sure that you have enough money to carry out some of the projects that you you need to carry out and everything. And I think why some of this thing continues is because these men have access to loans, and then that's one of our problems. The fact that every government that gets in just looks for some foreign loan or one foreign loan or the other, and to execute whatsoever projects that they want to execute, because they are not thinking of generating money from within. They've our governments have become so lazy that all they rely on is just in natural resources that the country is blessed with, and even the natural resources are not being well managed, because even though you might say, some people have argued that, oh, how much is it really, but when you accumulate all of these monies that they are taking, these monies are enough. When you do the calculation, they're enough to transform the lives of millions of Nigerians, and those millions of Nigerians would have impact on millions of other Nigerians. Take for example the calculation I did when I was checking out the first story. And you have to give it to Nigerians. Yes, as much as they might not be reacting as much as we want to react now, I think a lot of more eyes um are on the government right now. A lot of eyes are on the government because The first story that came out was that Tinubu was buying something for himself and his wife, like cars for himself and his wife. And when they did the calculation, it was about, I think, 4 point something billion or 6.5 points, about 4 to 6 billion. And when I did the calculation, I was like, this money can actually provide this money. If you divide this money, let's say you want to get laptops for people, for less privileged people in Nigeria, and this laptops with preloaded courses, could provide could save almost 40,000 and above, if you're not even going to get at a cheaper rate, since you're even doing a bulk order. With preloaded courses, this thing could literally save the lives of people. In another 6 months, people, watching all of those courses can become more productive in their society, can become employers of labor, can become an asset, can generate funds, can be able to have skills, that's in demand skills that the world really needs, and you can even attract foreign exchange to your country, that you can, so these are the things that they're not thinking of. I think that someone said something that I've been thinking of, and when I because we're always looking for answers. We know the way that things should be, but when we don't see things that way, we have to ask ourselves, why is it not this way? You understand? Because almost everybody knows the solution to the problem of this country. Everybody knows the problems of the country. And some of us understand that these are the solutions. You can't say you want to transform your society into a developed society and you have leakages here and there. People are buying, wasting money. A man that literally controlled the entire Lagos for over 20 something years has now become the president, one way or the other, found his way into Aso Rock. And despite the fact that has been disputed, and he has all eyes on him, most especially from the young population of Nigeria. You now transform into a point where you are, you're the first things that you're even doing, your first actions are wasteful. It's not even like 2 years. It's not like you've done anything that is so meaningful for the country in the last 6 months, and then you have now been able to generate, maybe through one project that you've done, you've attracted billions, in revenue to your country, or you've been able to make billions, or you've been able to attract some foreign investment, or you've been able to do something with a new resource in your country. Look at things like marijuana, that is very controversial. But Malawi has just legalized marijuana. Yesterday I read that legalized the export of marijuana for medical purposes or whatsoever, and they're going to be making $500 million annually for that. And you look at a country like Nigeria that has some of the best marijuana in the world, and the government has not done anything new. We are still talking about oil. We are still talking about our old resources that we know. We're not talking about how we can even, find a way to even capitalize our energetic population. And all of this money, if you put it into your people, you put it into human development, it could transform the country. If all of this money was all mopped up and put into tourism, I can bet you that in 1 year to 2 years, Nigeria will become a top destination for tourism in Africa, which currently it's not. You go to our zoos, the lions are hungry, the lions are starving. You go to tourist attraction centers in Nigeria, and everything is literally dead. So how do you expect your country to thrive? These are low-hanging fruits, things that they can easily take advantage of. So it is very sad, to see that we are continuing this wastage. And I was going to say what someone said that struck me, and we're asking this question on a Twitter space, and the person said, you see all of these Nigerian leaders, they don't believe in a Nigerian project. They don't believe in this new Nigeria that you guys want to see. They don't believe in it. So all they want to do is just to get into political office. And when they get into political office, they just want to take whatever they can grab from there. And that's why you see that in National Assembly, we have several political parties. We have the APC, the PDP, the LP, the NNPP, we have the SDP, we have the YPP, but not one Nigerian lawmaker rejected the SUV. And that is to tell you that many of these politicians do not believe in this new Nigeria. They don't believe in a Nigerian project. They don't believe in a Nigeria that works. Because if you believe in a Nigeria that works, you'll be ready to make that sacrifice, especially the same people that have actually been ripping this country off for years. You look at a man in the Senate, Nedoroko. He's a billionaire, but he didn't reject the 160 million and the millionaire SUV. And I've asked myself, is it that when these guys get sworn in, there's an oath that they take, or there's something in the air conditioning of the National Assembly that's automatically just hypnotizes these people? So it is really crazy. We have schools without chairs. We have schools. Go on Twitter, you see some Nigerian schools, no chairs, children are sitting on the floor. And you have people who continue to wait. You ask yourself, where are the cars that the former elected politicians were bought? Where are they? The presidency, the cars Buhari drove. Where are those cars? The cars Aisha Buhari drove as the first lady of Nigeria. Her entire team or her entire office, which is not even constitutional. Where are those cars? The cars that Nigerian lawmakers, for the last 4 years, they bought cars in 2019. It's barely 3 years later. Where are the cars? So these are the things that baffles me as a Nigerian. I know there are so many loopholes. Like I know that there are spots where these guys can take advantage. But can't we have that patriotism in these Nigerian leaders for once? Can't we just have a group of patriotic people who will just say, no, I'm refusing this. I want to go and work for the people. Not even one. It's so alarming that not even one Nigerian senator or House of Rep member said, I'm not going to take these cars. And when they were asked, why are you getting these cars? Said the roads are bad. We need a very expensive cars. The senator, the one from Kogi West, I think Senator Karimi or whatever, he said that the roads were bad. But I also read a report that this guy, when he was campaigning, campaigned on putting pressure to fix the roads. So if you're now going to get those luxury cars, instead of making sure that those roads are fixed, it means that you have no intention to fix that road for the next 4 years. And these are the kind of people that we end up with. So these are some questions that we must ask ourselves. What is actually going wrong? And why do they continue, to actually, waste so much money? So that's just what's on my mind, really.
Yeah, I think that this time around seems like the legislature seriously has I don't it's interesting because there are some times where you're like shocked, but at the same time you're like you're not really shocked, because why would you be shocked when this has been happening all along? But then it's just it's shocking at the same time, to be honest with you, because I want to also zoom back into this whole budget of a thing. And I just wonder why there's so much money being budgeted just for 2 months. And I can be corrected if supplementary budget is not just to serve the purpose of, just that year, because this is not. How do you, first of all, they're spending so much money on defense. I understand that the country is ravaged with whatever is going on now with like banditry and all of that, but the money they're spending on defense is making me to wonder that if they are going to get this much money, um and there's something I came across very one of these days. Like I was like, they're putting so much money into into states that are not the education or the literacy rate is low. They're putting so much money there, so it's almost like an incentive to keep people more uneducated. So I feel like if you're giving sometimes and it's not well planned out, it's not really that transparent, and you're putting this money, it's like almost like an incentive to even keep the place insecure. But that being said, I feel like that's just one that struck me. And then I thought, like, what is happening, and why does INEC have to receive this much money to conduct another few elections that's left? This is a lot of money. I don't know if people are desensitized, or numbers just do this thing where you're unable to really really zoom in, which is great that you check the number of laptops or things like that you can do with some of this money. Why does INEC need to get this much funding again? just to conduct a few more elections. And then they said housing. When was the last time you saw any public housing being built? The last constructions that I've seen in Nigeria is just private estates, private estates. I don't know the last time there was a public housing project, but they said they want to build a housing, and they are putting money in housing, like 100 million just for 2 months. And they said they were going to build like one house every day or something, like something almost ridiculous like that, that, this is like in Nigeria is not something we see. We are not maybe as advanced like that. Maybe if it was China, we should be saying something else, but they said they are putting money there. Okay, so like I was saying that I'm just worried about a few of these budgets, and I feel like some of those luxury expenses are just a way to really remove our minds from some really critical things we should be talking about on this on this bill, because there's a lot that is here that is just seems like wastage, just seems like wastage in a certain from a certain perspective, actually. But I just wanted to, just highlight those things that I'm just worried about. Why is INEC needing money, And yeah, just all of those things, all of those things. We've not really heard from you, Sinoshow. Can you,
Yeah,
um,
I am.
if you're there?
Yeah, you were pointing some things out now. One of the things you have pointed out is the INEC allocation on the budget. I understand that perfectly, right? I also would like for us to add the place of the presidential yacht. It falls under this category of it falls under this budget as well, right? And later on, after a little bit of clamor like they call it, in the public space, we've got some kind of feedback from Ali Ndume, right? I think he's a senator on the National Assembly, and he said something about the fact that the yacht had been delivered. And before that, there were some group of senators allegedly who came out and said, "Oh, they didn't pass it as part of the budget; that they had to match it with the budget for education, and that what they are trying to do with that, literally, is to cut out any form of frivolous spending, so to put." Now, the point is, who should we believe? And if you're going to believe anybody, because somebody now came out as well yesterday, I think yesterday or today, and said, they had bought it during Buhari's time, or that what they are just waiting for is payment. So somebody actually did extra budgetary spending, or perhaps somebody misappropriated public trust. And these things are grievous offenses. So I'm now worried, like, how have we become this bad that we have institutionalized law breaking? And people don't know that when you spend something that's not budgeted for, it's you breaking the law. Because where you would have drawn the money from, as the case may be, is the consolidated revenue fund, or is it revenue or reserve? One of the two. Wherein budgetary spending are ordinarily supposed to be debited on. Now, if you had gone to buy those items, what does it mean? It means you were not even waiting for the National Assembly to consent your action. You have gone ahead to misappropriate public trust. So, literally. So, this INEC thing also, what exactly does INEC need this money for? Because the last time I checked, right, the mobilization of people in the course of an election is one of the easiest part of it, because ordinarily, majority of the people who are going to work for INEC that they are currently in the respective states where those elections will take place. Majority of them stays there. Maybe REC might not now stay there. That one I cannot speak to, because I could remember one time when a VC or deputy vice chancellor in OAU was the this thing REC for Oyo. I could remember also one became the REC for was it Ekiti State or Osho State, one of the two. So literally, I'm saying most of the people that you need are going to be there. Is this not another white elephant project, so to put? Because literally, it just seems like this year won't end though. Maybe we find more money, maybe we use and ball. That's exactly what I feel whenever I see things like this. And the supplementary budget, right, is about 2.17 trillion. When I look at it again and again and again and again, you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to make sense of every item line in here. And one thing that stands out is the fact that there's no revenue part of this budget. Everything we know is that it is all about expenditure. Oh, Ministry of Defense, 260 billion. Hey, Police Formation and Command, 20 billion. Oh, Department of State Services, 49 billion. Oh, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, 95 billion. Oh, Federal Ministry of Works, 300 billion. Oh, Ministry of Housing, 100 billion. Oh, Federal Capital Territory Administration, 100 billion. Even we can get him. So it's literally for me just like, okay, it's time to plunder. Let's legalize a plunder by ensuring that it is documented in a law. Appropriation B, passed by the National Assembly, becomes an act of the National Assembly.
And that's why all of them are all
So
partners in.
I think we are.
That's why they are all partners in crime. Both
Yeah, no,
all of them, you know.
yeah.
It's crazy.
It
It
makes
makes
sense
a lot
now.
of sense.
Timmy, it makes sense. It makes sense now why they are buying 160 million cars for each of the 360. It makes sense now because it literally now explains to you like this is quid pro quo. Rub my hand, I rub your hand. Rub my shoulder, I rub your shoulder. Una don't chop your now, no. Una they collect una alawi, una they collect una commission, una they collect una salary, una don't collect car. Una go still collect money for constituency project. Yeah, this charade cannot continue any longer. It is not sustainable. You heard when I was saying earlier, I think my network had a little bit of glitch. When I said, okay, they will bloat project, spend a little bit of money on the project. The illicit fund they made from there, they want to convert it to the USD to take it out of the country. They will put pressure on the dollar because there will be high demand. And then that way, never will start losing value again. The poor man will suffer two times. They will suffer their tax that has been misappropriated. They will also suffer their purchasing power that is being eroded. What they can buy yesterday, they can no longer buy with the same amount of money again today. It's a vicious cycle, and we must end it. And that's the only way to go. Let me rest because these conversations actually they trigger me literally.
To be honest, then like I don't even know. I mean, because for example, these people they are politicians now is even kind of is somehow to even be saying our legislators are politicians. Now I think maybe we should just be getting lawyers in there or something. I don't know. But they just need to really be civil servants. At this point, they are not special. There's nothing that's supposed to be so special, more special about them than a Nigerian civil servant or public servant. There should maybe be level 17 if there's no level 7. I think level 16 is like the highest. Maybe there should be level 17 and then or 18. If they want to do that, they should do that. Imagine them saying, ministers are getting 3 cars now. What about us? It's very clear that these people are uh, um I've been trying so hard not to use words that I will not use not on a normal day. So let me just leave that one. Let me just really just leave that. But the whole thing that I felt like it was something that I just thought about was like this thing just shows very clearly where priorities lie. If you're putting 95 billion in agriculture for the whole country, you're giving is it I think the 400 million that they talked about the last time that they want to give some household or they want to use it for to help to give people for only 400 million and you're spending 1.2 billion for an office for for cars. So it just shows you where the people are, like where they place the people. You're renovating. They said they are renovating the villa with even how much? I was talking to a friend this night. I was like, "Oh, Buhari does he have like body odor? Like I don't know. Did Buhari leave something there that they need to like pour? So do they need pesticides? What happened to what Buhari used before they are renovating the place? And this is something they say they always do, and that's what people will come up to tell you. They'll say, "Oh, it's something that's always done." Some people were telling me it's constitutional for them to get a vehicle. Da da da. I was like, was the constitution not amended in 1999? You guys talk as though this constitution is something that every Nigerian, as long as they're giving birth to you, that you're a Nigerian, you're like holding it in your hand and coming, to the world with it. No. So and the one thing that would definitely even triumph that, given that we're in a democratic system, is if the people are aligned and they say, no, this is not something that should happen. It's something that should not happen, So it just brings a lot of questions. It brings a lot of conversations to our minds, to me. And I even wanted to pose this question. So, supplementary budget, if they say supplementary budget, they're only talking about 2 months, right? Just 8 weeks. So it means that does it mean that Nigeria is trying to spend this amount in 8 weeks? And I don't understand. Share light on that, because that's the one that I've been kind of putting so much brain on. And when it was like, this is November, they said this is 2023, so we should be expecting another budget in in January, right? 2024 or something like that. I mean, just wanted to pose that question. This thing, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I know, sure, I want you to actually answer that one, since it has to do with like the budget thing.
Okay, so the idea of supplementary budget is centered around the fact that the budget that was prepared or presented or passed earlier, right, is not serving the purpose for which it was intended fully. So you are not trying to make a case, right, for additional spending majorly. You understand? So now in this case, it is meant to supplement what had already been passed previously in the original budget. Now, when you said November, uh, there is a there is something we call budget implementation cycle, right? You might be surprised to see that the budget for this year is still being implemented up to January or February next year, right? Because I think at some point, was it 2020 or 2021, the previous year budget span all over till March, and the budget implementation for the actual year didn't start until maybe March or thereabouts. So the point is, this can span, but ordinarily, the budgeting year is 2023. Does it make sense now? Now, when you said 2024, I think the 2024 budget has already been prepared, as it is now going as a bill to the National Assembly, and I presuppose that very soon we will get what the National Assembly has to say about that, and before it's being passed in, before it will be passed into law. And I think Buhari was the one that stabilized this to ensure that budgets for the coming year are ready even before we go into the year, or at most as early as possible in the new year. So the overall conversation about supplementary budget and all of these things is not even my own problem. My problem is more or less like we are complaining of revenue not being enough. We are complaining of huge fiscal deficit or budget deficit, and then we are still spending money as if we have got a lot of money hidden somewhere that others don't know about. You understand? So it now leaves me worried like, do these people know that they are amassing debt and that anything they are probably going to be spending on now should be something very productive? I'm not sure how a presidential yacht will help the Nigerian state. This thing is just an ostentatious display of wealth that we don't, in the real sense, have money to back. So that literally is actually my leaning on that conversation of saying, okay, does it make sense for supplementary budget now, or when are they going to pass the 2024? You understand? Another thing that I think is very germane as well is in the fact that doesn't this country, right, look like a crime scene to you? At least that is a question for you. Because I think oftentimes we pass off a lot of things like people are making mistake. This is not mistake. I mean, if it happens once, we can call it a mistake, right? If it happens twice, we can say, oh, he made a mistake again, or she made a mistake again, or they made a mistake again. When it happens consecutively and it's been happening since the return of democracy in 1999, it's no longer a mistake. It's a design and it's serving the purpose for which it was intended. That's what I think. But don't you think this country is a crime scene? I want to ask.
I said I'm picking my words, and I don't know why I'm even doing that, but I feel like I'm trying to contain my radicalism because I think I'm about to go like off. But the country being a crime scene, that is that question. I think there's only one answer for that, honestly. But at the end of the day, I think that you made a very good point there, and that's what I've been trying to preach. I feel like I need to even put it on a t-shirt now to say poverty is a scheme, is a plot. Like there's no way you can explain this. There's no mistake here. You cannot tell me this has been happening. This is the 10th assembly, right? You can't tell me that this is a mistake. There's no way. You can't tell me all of what we are seeing now is not a result of one failed policy, one mistake here. This person was trying to do very well, but the person failed. We did not pray enough for the person. We did not wish the person well. We did not believe in the person. We did not we did not cheer them up and all of that. No, it's not. There's nothing spiritual about this. There's nothing coincidental. I mean, this cemented it for me. Like there's nothing coincidental, and this is all a setup. This is all a setup. Even the crime self, sometimes crime you say is crime of passion, as per somebody came and did something to you, you now revenge. And that one is, it seems like we've even gone past that at this point, because everything seemed very orchestrated. I don't know, but for me it's like, yeah, this one, if it was even a crime scene in a very, very sensible world, right? If it's a crime scene, police will come there, who again, they'll bring different types of bodies there to come and check DNAs and all of that, then they prosecute accordingly. But where is the prosecution? So I think that even that is even being kind safe. So yeah, but I mean, that answered your question. Yeah, I mean, that's for me. Dorothy can continue on
Yeah,
our
so
behalf, but
I
that's
think
what I think about.
that we should also kind of look at some of the reasons why we are here today. And as much as we might not want to say it, I think choices during elections actually do matter. I know that some people think that maybe the Labour Party is the last bus stop when it comes to ethics and morality, but it's just proven some of us right that they are not so far from what goes on in APC and PDP, because many of them are actually displaced politicians that found their way to Labour Party, and luckily for them, they had a popular presidential candidate this time around that just took them on a swift ride into power. So I think that we should actually, before getting these people elected into office, we must make sure that we vote right. This is just what it is. Because when I see some people complain, those who support APC, PDP, and the rest of these parties complain about this move. The candidates that contested, they did reel out their manifestos when they were contesting, and never for once did they tell you that they had any intention to go and reduce the cost of governance and government wastage. They wanted to stop government wastage. I mean, the only person I can cut some slack for that as an establishment politician is maybe an OB, who said that he wanted to reduce the cost of governance, and did so many stories, as to how he was able to replicate that when he was a governor. But most of the politicians that were voted into that assembly were not the National Assembly. They never told you that they had any intention. They never to reduce the cost of governance. They never ran with those ideas. So I don't know what kind of magic that we expect them to perform. And
Dear to me,
yeah,
since it's just here, but normally I'll just try to say, okay, it's not even really political, but the whole conversation about, okay, because somebody has been pushing, people have been pushing it that, okay, they were going to use 200 million to this is just I can't remember the exact figure, but then to renovate the state house, and then the money was cut down to 40 million or something like that to renovate the state house. And people I think that that's okay. What kind of renovation are they doing for state house? Is there any state house that is not up to standard in this country, that they will not just change the sheets in the house and use? But please
yeah.
go ahead.
So
Go
I
ahead.
think that
Go ahead.
I heard the question when you asked that what was wrong with some of the facilities that a what was he called, the last president of Nigeria, Buhari, actually used, and why do they have to do a massive renovation? And when you look at the kind of lifestyle that the Buhari lived, the kind of clothes he was wearing, he's been pictured or reported to wear wristwatches that cost thousands of dollars, and shoes and all of those things. And you look at the kind of lifestyle that his children and the first lady also lived. I don't think those are people that would have lived in a house where a bulb will be bad, or a toilet will not be working, or will be clogged, and it will not be replaced immediately. So the very idea that we need to renovate this or renovate that, maybe there are some things they need to do, but we just live in a period whereby we need to be putting this money into where it will actually count for the Nigerian people. You can't take out fuel subsidies. You can't push Nigerians towards economic hardship and tell them to tighten up their belts, but you are doing something that is contrary to the message that you're preaching to the populace. You have no indication, to show that, you even have any intention or good intentions for them. So it like what I was saying is, people need to make better choices when voting. We had credible parties like the African National Congress, that we would believe. And I know, yes, we can say, oh, we don't want to make it political, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth. And I also hate it when I hear Nigerians say, oh, how are you sure, and that you'll be different. People are actually different. We need to do a better job at making sure that we are voting people with a different idea. You cannot vote for someone that did not campaign on the basis of reducing the cost of governance and expect that person to perform magic when the person gets there. We need to get to this, and I've said this, I've been saying this consistently since 2020, that young people and change seekers in Nigeria need to form a block of a support group that is massive, that that once this support group approves you as a candidate, you're going to get millions of votes and billions of naira or millions of naira or appropriate funding for your campaign. But before they would pledge their support to you, some of these things that we want to see them do in office, they need to put it down. You need to sign. What's this reactionary nonsense of expecting people that have never in their life rejected anything, that has to do with all of these cars and the SUVs and the celebrity lifestyle that our politicians live? You are expecting them to do that when they never had any of those kind of agreement with you. So if we had this agreement with these people, it would have been better. The second thing is saying no. When things go wrong in government, what is happening right now, everybody's aggrieved. But how many people are speaking up? Not just talking, but how many people are actually, out there protesting, saying that we don't agree to what is actually going on in government? We almost seem like a conquered people, that the politicians can literally do anything they want to do and nobody is going to react. So it baffles me. I also think about how fast this supplementary budget was passed. First day, they did first reading. When the news came out, people had already started saying, okay, we're going to write petitions. In fact, they even wrote a petition. And, before the petition could gather 1,000 signatures on change.org, guess what? They had already signed the thing. So whenever, Nigeria, people who are seeking change in Nigeria are demanding for their rights, are demanding for things to be done, they start telling them things like something that you said before. Oh, that's just the way it is. Oh, you don't understand the system. Oh, this is what you have to accept. But you see that when this thing was in their own interest, it took them 2 days to pass this thing before anybody could get a placard. Even if you say you want to organize a protest, before you print out your placard and everything, they had already, done what they would need to do. And this is why the Nigerian people need to actually act fast. Again, it also reminds me of the gap between the Nigerian people, the people who claim to be the leaders, and the citizens. Because look at the gap. Everybody, regardless of who you voted in the last election, especially those that voted for these establishment people. Their supporters are all outside the gates, because it's not like, oh, we're seeing that, okay, yes, you voted for these people and you're actually enjoying and they're enjoying, and supporters of other people are now suffering. You are all outside the gates. They don't even listen to your ideas. They don't even listen to what you're saying. So it's really confusing. It's really confusing, to be honest. But I think the solution to all of these things would be that Nigerians need to get, active. Enough is enough with just complaining, with just sitting down. We know this money can be used to fund education. In most countries in the world, most developed countries, at least you don't need to worry from your primary education up onto your university level. Some even go as far as university, some stop at the secondary level, but they give their children quality education. Just about a week ago, I think one minister was saying there's no money to pay. But there's no money to pay, but you have money to get a 5 billion naira yacht. So these are some fun. It doesn't just add up. And I think it's very clear to see. So I would say Nigerians need to speak up. Nigerians need to act. There is no need. If a politician is not doing what they said they would do, of which they didn't even say they were going to do that. But if they're doing things that are contrary to the direction that will move this country, to greatness, then we need to speak up. There's really no need to wait for their 4-year tenure. We can recall them, or we can decide to take power back into our hands, which are some options that we need to explore. Because I see no reason why Nigerians should suffer. And in the midst of suffering, like Sinosho said, there's no plan. No one can tell me this any way that the government plans to generate revenue. Like they don't talk about generating revenue. Their own is just let us get loans, do what we need to do, put future generations in hardship, and then let's enjoy ourselves. So I would quickly just touch on some things, because I'm part of a Stop Government Wastage campaign, and for the SUVs, we said those SUVs should actually be returned. We need to stop accepting this Nigerian thing where we do and we say, oh, it has already been done, there's nothing that can be done about it. You can always do something about it. Even if they've been driving it for 2 years, you can literally say this thing needs to stop. You need to stop driving this, whatever. What is the current what? Let us sell this thing, and no politician. I don't know. I think we need to talk about the concept of democracy. Because when you say power belongs to the people, a government for the people, by the people, and of the people, it means that at any point in time, that is what true democracy should be like. But when you talk to the average Nigerian, they're almost like, we are powerless. What can we do? It's the way it is. It is the way it has been since 1960. Let us stay like that. How? A country where you have over 130,000 people getting visas to migrate to just one country, the UK, in the first quarter of the year. Your citizens, their plan is finish university and jackpot, and you are watching these guys. This money that could be given to entrepreneurs, if they give 1 million naira to entrepreneurs, do you know that what that would do if you invest all of this money into power? Do you know what that would do if they mop up all the wastage in governance, excessive salaries, everything? They mop everything in the entire country. We will fix our power sector in 2 years max. So these are some crazy things that I see all the time, and it must actually stop. I think we need to stop being reactionary. That's the problem. Let us stop reacting. Let's be proactive. Let's think like revolutionaries, because otherwise we'll just keep on complaining. And if you listen to majority of Nigerians right now are broken. They are tired. When you start hearing things Nigerians speak, and you start hearing things like, oh, the country should just crumble if it wants to crumble, I feel their pain. They are tired. oh, don't invest your money in Nigeria. If you're in the diaspora, don't put your money in Nigeria. Let that country do. It's because people are tired. And when people are tired, they start to say all of this nonsense. They don't really mean it, but they start to say all of these things. So we should not be reactionary, and that's the problem with our with the youths right now and change seekers. We are reacting to what they are doing instead of being proactive. I feel like, for example, the yacht, it was put there so that Nigerians will react, and then they will pull it out and say they've listened to our complaint. So we need to stop feeling like these guys are, yes, they are dumb, but they are not as dumb as we think they are. So we just need to get proactive, and that is basically the solution. Because if we continue this way, like my friend would always say, Nick, there's no way that this country can be governed like this for the next 5 years. It's impossible. The cracks, we've been seeing the cracks for a very long time, but I think that building is actually coming down right now. So if we do not get active, it might just land, unfortunately, on those who are still in Nigeria. So that's all I have to say for this episode.
The people needs to save themselves. There is no messiah coming from anywhere. And if they are going to save themselves, they need to ensure that these people in power are held to account fully. And which ways do I think they can use? For the ones at the National Assembly, Senate and Rep, House of Assembly, we call them. People will tell you, oh, it's very difficult to do. It's always difficult until it is done. Focus. Do it. Get them out. Get consensus. Rally consensus. Get them out. For the one in the executive, force them to resign through a mass action. Stand. Don't leave. Don't allow anything move until they resign. And very importantly, protest. You don't need any policeman to give you consent before you protest. If you have any demonstration that you want to have, go about it. Do what you have to do. And of course, ensure that you do not take away the life of other people in the course of doing whatever you are doing. Focus. Don't vandalize public property. Yeah. Focus on what you are there for. Stand still. Make things stand still until things work out for you. And that's literally where I will stop, because we have spoken in a lot of form, right? But one thing that we have continued to live out, right, until recently, is the fact that the people should know that the power belongs to them. And if they decide to take it today, that's how it's going to be. Nothing else can stop an idea that the time has come, especially such idea when backed by the masses of the people. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like I've been so pissed. We didn't even have chills, but my God, this country is in a dire situation, and we can't even pretend that it's not. Like, it's not a joke. I understand that when you go on social media, it's just so much comedy, and I feel like it's just, escapism. That's why comedians are making so much money now. Everybody's looking for that quick, should I call it dopamine hit? And that's why like nightclubs are like such a thing. Everybody's trying to just like get away from this reality. And I think that we could have come here and like laugh about it and everything, but it's not funny. I think everybody's going to agree on that one. So yes, I think that will be it for this particular episode. And thank you for listening. Please continue to follow us on all of our platforms, and we'll see you next time.